So thank you for coming. My name is Leslie Godden, and I'm your moderator for today. I direct, curate, and create content for TileLetter, tileletter.com, and TileLetter Artisan magazines. Have you heard of those magazines at all? And that's published by the National Tile Contractors Association. Do we have the right ones up? Okay, great. So for 11 years, we've published a Women in Tile issue to celebrate women. So you can meet the amazing women featured this year at tileletter.com. Just go to the March issue and in the archives. I had planned to have some magazines back here, but we're kind of out, so just go online. And I want to shout out to Michelle Chapman, who's not here, Elizabeth Lambert, and Amber Fox, who sent me these pictures because I had not yet received my copy by the time I was putting together this PowerPoint. So I needed some pictures, and they sent them to me. So thank you. So before I get into our program, I want to clarify that it was not my intention to steal the name of an Academy Award-winning movie for the name of this panel. It just seemed to me that our session today was, in fact, women talking among ourselves, and women talking would make a great title. And then I started seeing it everywhere as an Academy Award nomination. I thought, uh-oh. So, but that said, kudos to filmmaker Sarah Polley for winning an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for the film. Yay, sister power. We have a little housekeeping. Instead of CEUs this year, Coverings is going to send certificates of attendance to everyone who has their badges scanned upon entering the room. So if you didn't do that, be sure to get your badges scanned. If you have any questions, you can head on over to the speaker room at S220E. And your Coverings mobile app, if you have that on your phone, will give you details about other educational opportunities taking place today and tomorrow. And anybody who happens to have a phone with them, if you would put that on silent, I'd really appreciate it. So in putting this panel together, I spent a lot of time in creative chaos, juggling messages of inspiration and support and statistics, while trying to maximize the time for our panelists to share their stories. So I'm leaning a little bit more heavily on inspiration and experience, and a little less on stats this time around. There's a cricket. Awesome. So case in point, I want to start off with a story that illustrates why women representing in construction trades is so important. Dawn Marie Suter, owner of Strong Work Renovations, LLC, posted in the Tile Chicks Facebook site about Emma, the 6-year-old granddaughter of a homeowner client that Dawn installed a bath for. Emma watched Dawn at work. And after Dawn went to pick up the final payment and stayed for tea, she received this email from the homeowner. Emma and I were delighted you had a little time to visit. After you left, she read me all the notes she had written. They were proposals for home improvement projects her company could do for me. Little eyes and ears miss nothing. You served as a valuable role model. So this 6-year-old girl, who loved picnicking in the finished shower, by the way, was inspired from simply watching Suter do her job, and it got the wheels turning about what she might do with her life and the possibilities open to her. And that's why we have this powerful group of distinguished women with us today. So let's meet them and start talking. First up is Alexis Pellerin.
Hi.
Hey. Who is the manager of organizational development at Laticrete International. She has a master's in international business from Chongqing University. During assignments in manufacturing, supply chain, research, international marketing, and more, Alexis saw the critical contributions of women in a variety of roles that were not available to the last generation. In addition, she is the chair of the Laticrete Women's Forum and a member of the executive leadership team for the House That She Built, a movement that started with the House That She Built book by Molly Elkman and Georgia Castellano. The book allows kindergarten to second grade girls to picture themselves in non-traditional employment roles. So thank you for joining us, Alexis.
Thank you.
Next is Elizabeth Lambert. She's been the co-owner of Lambert Tile and Stone for the last 23 years and is responsible for all marketing, estimating, tile ordering, writing work orders for the field, working with general contractors and designers, invoicing, payroll, and human resource functions. Is that all? I mean, you know, come on, don't be a slacker.
Well, and then I decided to start Women in Tile.
Right. So Lambert Tile and Stone is an NTCA 5-star contractor and an accreditation program that establishes high standards for tile installation companies. And Elizabeth sits on the board of directors for the NTCA, and she chairs a new group called Women in Tile, which is supported by the NTCA. As part of that initiative, she is excited to champion opportunities for all industry women, and especially women tile installers. So we're glad to have you, Elizabeth. Maria Meyer. Maria Meyer is a tile artisan apprentice at Dragonfly Tile and Stone in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She started out studying geology in college, but her passion for art drove her to leave college in search of an outlet for her creativity. A friend introduced her to Dragonfly, and she knew she was home. She is an essential part of a groundbreaking artisan tile setting team at Dragonfly, a role model for younger women who are seeking a functional way to use artistic skills, and will be an assistant trainer during the very first tile artisan training in June at Dragonfly. And this is her first coverings. Wait, there's more. Maria is truly a rock star, and I mean it. She was just welcomed into that community on Tuesday and recognized as a leader and a support for other women. And personally, I want to say that I experienced her help and positive encouragement when I tried my hand at a very, very basic first ever mosaic a couple of months ago. The future is bright with Maria in it. So thanks for being with us today. Elena Capra. Many of you are acquainted with Elena Capra in her role as Coverings Ambassador and all the work she does to promote the show. But she is also owner of Elena Capra Designs, an award-winning interior design firm in Fort Lauderdale. She is an engaging, positive presence with an impressive resume that spans her undergrad work at the University of Miami, to her studies at the Metropolitan Institute of Design in Manhattan, to her accreditation through the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and much more. Not only has her work been widely published, she is a frequent public speaker and is the host of SoFlo, right? SoFlo?
SoFlo,
Home Project, a weekly design TV show. Plus, she was an on-camera bath expert for NKBA's Certification Study Guide. She also shares her talents in support of various charities. And fun facts, she is a proud alumna of both the University of Miami Sensations dance team and the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders. So we're happy to have your upbeat presence with us today, Elena. Kristen Andreasen does Charles Perry Partners proud as a project manager. She felt the call to construction after becoming disenchanted with college aspirations in veterinary medicine. With a familial connection to construction due to her dad, who is a superintendent and a large local GC, she pursued the field and followed her passion. Strong-willed, independent, and capable, she said the company culture at CPPI allows her to flourish in this diverse role. Among her mentors, she counts the National Association of Women in Construction, also known as NAWIC, and its mentor program. So, after participating in NAWIC at various levels, last fall she was elected to president of the Greater Orlando chapter. Awesome.
Okay.
So she's here to talk to us today not only about her own experiences, but also about what NAWIC offers for women in our industry. And we're glad to have you, Kristen. Okay, so no panel is complete without statistics, so I'll keep them short though. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows women's percentage of the construction force is 11%, which is virtually unchanged from 2021. But over a 5-year span since 2018, there is definitely an upward trajectory. In 2022, women represented 4.5% of overall construction labor, up from 3.7% 5 years ago. And women made up 7.5% of carpet, floor, and tile installers and finishers, up from 1.7% in 2018. And the stats show a lot of growth is due to the presence of Hispanic women in the field. There's still a lot of room to grow, so come on. A Washington Post analysis of BLS data last August shows cities where women are most prevalent in construction: Minneapolis, Seattle, and San Francisco. The Post analysis also shows the share of women in construction in the top 10 states, with the District of Columbia leading the charge. In terms of pay, the BLS reports that women earn about 83% of what men earn overall. But stats from NAWIC show that women in construction occupations earn 95.5% of what men make. So that's impressive. We're still shooting for full equity, but it's getting closer. Okay, back to the inspirational stuff. Why is it good to have us in the workplace? In a pre-session conversation with our panelists, these positive qualities that women offer emerged. Detail-oriented, courageous, resilient, multitaskers. The list goes on. And one thing that I don't think anybody mentioned, but I thought of the other day, is that women are wise. So add that to the list. Most of our panelists also mentioned some challenges they've experienced along the way, such as not being taken seriously, feeling invisible, or feeling a need to prove themselves. And I want to be clear that this is not necessarily coming along gender lines, and some men have been the biggest supporters for women's initiatives in this industry and are here in this room, and which I really appreciate seeing, quite honestly. I don't want to dwell on these challenges, but I do think it's important to recognize some fairly universal challenging experiences that women grapple with in the workplace. And these are some things that came up when asking what would make construction more welcoming for women. So, on that note, let's get to our panelists and expound on this list. So, what do you think needs to happen to make the industry more invitational to women?
Am I going first?
Anybody who wants to share.
It's really just about being more welcome to having women come in on teams, right? I'm a project manager with a large general contractor, so I hire those subcontractors that perform the work. So it's doing our due diligence on my side, right, to find those women-owned businesses and be more proactive to go ahead and contract with them, and some of our larger projects or even some of our smaller projects, but just being proactive to make sure that we pull in that diverse field.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Can
Anybody
I build
else?
on that too?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
please.
think as business owners, it's cool to see business owners hiring young women. So taking that role on to hire and train young women, get them more well-versed, even if they don't come from a background of construction.
Great points.
And I think knowledge is power. Continuing to learn more about your industry, even things that are new. Like I'm on the interior design side, but of course, learning more about the installation side of everything I'm specifying, I think it makes it more, it adds the power and it really helps.
Great point, yeah.
And I think because of our current labor shortage that I think the climate's changing, that the men are more embracing bringing women into our industry, which
Right.
is, we have no choice.
We're a great resource, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Alexis?
I would say more visibility because we have so many accomplished women even in this room, and just highlighting them so that the younger generations can see, especially like young girls like you already mentioned, and women who are just starting out in the industry.
Great.
I'd like to expand on that just 1 second, but mentor. So all of the women in the room can always mentor other women, especially the younger people that are coming up through any workplace that you have mentor.
Great. Well, that leads into another question that I had, amazingly. So, like, who have your mentors been and your supporters, and how have they made a difference in your path?
I could start that. My bosses are huge supporters and mentors in my career. And not only do I have a male boss mentor, but I also have a female boss mentor. And that husband-wife duo has always been welcoming. And I'm not the first woman that they've actually hired. So I think that has made a big difference.
Great, great.
And I guess I would say I'm kind of self-made because I work pretty much solo, but not really. I have a partner, and my husband Dan, everyone knows, I'm sure. He said he wouldn't be where he is without me, and he always constantly tells people, she is the reason this company is so successful, and that is empowering in itself.
That's important. It's important to have that support, right?
Yes.
Yes, great.
When I was starting out in interior design, I had 2 women that I worked with at my past job that really mentored me. I learned from them. I learned all of the skills, all of the technical stuff in the planning, and those are things that you kind of carry with you throughout your career. And I always take a lot of interns in my business. I mean, I have a small company. It's just me and one other employee, but I've taken a lot of interns over the years. I like to share the knowledge, keep, bringing them into the business and kind of really helping, because you have to build on that. When you have mentors, it is then your responsibility to then mentor others. It all goes, goes full circle sometimes.
Right, so you're paying it forward, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's great. That's terrific.
Me?
Sure, yes?
So I've had a couple people at Ladacrete actually who have helped me. I'm still early in my career, but I would not have gone down the same path if it hadn't been for them. And I think we have questions on that a little bit later.
We
but
do.
so I would have gone down a different road. So I'm very happy that on the current road that I'm going.
Great. So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I would be remiss to also say that my coworkers have been a huge part of helping develop who I am, because I'm also self-taught. I didn't go to school for construction management. But one coworker in particular actually introduced me to NAWIC 5 years ago, and I immediately jumped into the mentorship program, and that has just helped me expand incredibly. And now I'm president. Who would have thought? Yeah.
It really inspired you, right?
It did,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, speaking of that, like, what experiences have you had that help you grow and gain credibility in your field?
That's a hard one, but a good one. Managing projects is a lot, especially on the project management side, where you are covering every aspect. So you're not an expert by any means in each individual component that goes into building a building, but you have to have knowledge about everything. How long does it take to work or build that piece, that masonry, and then go into structural steel? So it's really just CPPI has provided me the opportunity to continue to grow in my experience by giving me projects, hard projects, tough projects that I've questioned sometimes, just like, why am I doing this? But ultimately getting me to a point where I'm confident in front of my owners, I'm confident in front of my architects and my design teams, and I'm confident with myself.
Most important,
Most
right?
importantly. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I kind of had a similar experience where I was in our Ladacrete Management Development Program, so it's not quite the same as project management, but I spent time in all of our different departments, and so, building on what I already knew in marketing and stuff, as you mentioned, I spent time in manufacturing and supply chain and all these other areas, and I think all of that really helped me because I understood the business a lot better, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Broad
think-
knowledge, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of both, a mix of knowledge from learning your craft and then also in the field. In the field is such an important part of learning, and not just from your personal experiences, but through collaborating with all the team that's creating the project. I think I have learned so much from installers I've worked with. I've learned so much from every aspect of a project. And I think that, that builds your experience, and it's, they say, I feel like time in the field is truly like where you learn, but the educational aspects are a pillar of that too. So kind of balancing those both out, continuing to learn, but learning from everyone around you, and then like we said, in the mentorship, kind of like going full circle, sharing that with others who are new and upcoming in the industry.
So it's like a synergy, right? That
Really it is.
comes together. Great. Anything else?
Yeah, I would say, building off what Elena said, in the field training. On the job is, you learn so much. But on top of that, the training. NTCA has been huge with their online or universities to manufacturers holding workshops and production meetings and to now coverings.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
been huge.
Great. Great.
Definitely a lot of growth.
Thanks. Elizabeth, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay, that's good. That is fine. You'll be up later. Okay, great discussion, great discussion. We're going to kind of go through and talk individually with our panelists now for a little bit, and Maria is first. So being a young person in this field, right? What do you love about what you do, and where do you see yourself kind of moving in 10 years or so?
Well, I love that I get to be an artist, number one. But I get to learn a worthy skill that nobody can take from me. Every day I'm growing. I see myself developing. I was a finisher. I started as that, mixing mud, learning how to seal, grout, to setting, to design. So in 10 years, I do want to be proficient at my craft. And I know that could take a lifetime. But I would love to be a business owner and be then hiring on my own apprentices.
Awesome, awesome. That sounds great. And what does it mean to you to be a rock star?
Well, first, it's an honor, but I think to assume that role of inspiring young women, I feel a responsibility to do that now.
Great, great. Are there, I'm not sure what happens with rock stars. Are there activities and stuff that you guys are going to be doing throughout the year, or is it just, you're just shining?
I'm not entirely sure on that yet.
Okay. You're finding out, right? You're finding out.
I think it's been building, but Elena, do you know anything about that?
Well, I know that the alumni is strong because even at the awards, it's great. It's like you see these groups build year after year ever since it had started. So you're part of this amazing community of stars in the industry. And it's exciting to follow.
That's
It's
great.
cool because Elena, she handed out the award 2 days ago.
And it's awesome that we're sitting here today, and you had quite a crowd cheering you on. So it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great group of people this year. So, well, thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Leslie.
So Elena, as a designer, your path has been a shining one with lots of support and other women in the field. In fact, the BLS noted that since last year, women in the design field have increased by about 5% to 88% of the field. So that's impressive, right? So what are your takeaways on being a woman in design?
Well, I think it's a great industry, first of all. I feel like it's a supportive industry. I have many friends, many who are here, other fellow female designers. They sit back there. It's great. I think it's welcoming because I think in the industry, I love interior design, it's my passion, but surrounding yourself with other people who it's their passion too, and I think we could all say this in our respective fields within the industry, it inspires you. You see others doing great things, great projects, and I think for me, being around other friends in the industry, being inspired by what they do, helps me stay inspired. Like I think we all kind of feed off of everyone's passion for the industry. It's interior design is like every business, it's a tough industry. You work hard, you're wearing a lot of different hats. And I think a lot of us are small business owners. A lot of the industry is smaller business owners, so we are wearing many hats, doing a lot of different jobs. And continuing to support one another throughout that is a big part of it.
Cool, cool. And what would you count among your most joyful successes?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of, for me, I think my most joyful success is the journey in my career. And I think a lot of us can kind of say that. When you start, you have goals. And then it takes time. You don't go from here to here. So it's a constant, work at small achievements. Sometimes, like, when I gotten my first project published, I literally have saved every single project that I have a stack of things. It doesn't matter if it's a newspaper, a magazine. It's important to the journey, and sometimes people see it in my office like, you have all of this? I'm like, yes, because it's part of your story. And I think no matter where you are in your career, every victory is huge. Like, it doesn't matter if it's, to you. You have to see, like, I take pride in every little thing. Literally, the first time my name was mentioned, just the name in a quote, I saved that. I still have it. So awesome. You have to celebrate each victory, and I think that also keeps you inspired, and cheering on others as they hit those milestones in their career is equally as important.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have all my tile letters. I love that. And I'm in a home office, so it's like, there's so many.
I have some of the tile letters too. That's in my collection.
Awesome. So have women become, have you seen women become more prominent in our tile industry in coverings and beyond? What's your perspective on that,
I think it's great, and honestly, even just from this show alone, I see a lot of women, it's their first time at the show, okay, and in many different facets of the industry, not just interior design, and on many different levels. So I think that it's cool. I really love this industry. My first coverings was in 2010, and I love coming to the show every single year, catching up with friends, and seeing, of course, not only seeing what's new, but it's really about connections.
Right.
And so I do see an increase in more women in many facets coming, and when you go once, you keep coming back to the show. So it like builds this one big family.
Great. And one more question. So somebody who's wanting to get into the field, a woman who's wanting to get into design, is there a path that you would recommend? Is there some basic blocks that they could start at?
So I think, design is very diverse, right? You have residential, you have commercial, you have hospitality, healthcare. There's a lot of different levels. And then, of course, you have more retail-oriented interior design. There's so many options. So there really is, I think, a fit for everyone. But I think it's really best to try out and see what works for you. I really recommend interning. I think the more you can, I wish I had done more. I had, maybe one internship. I wish I had done more, because I think nothing can make you see what you want to do than like shadowing someone else who already does it.
Right.
I think now with like social media and other things, there's a lot more out there where you can kind of have a direct look into what others in respective industries are kind of doing. A lot of people share their day-to-day thing, installations, picking products, specifying. So I think that helps. I think it makes it a little easier to kind of find your way. But I think also nothing replaces just seeing. And don't be afraid to make changes. Like my path has been all over the place. I started out just designing bathrooms. That's all I did. I got certified in that. Then I went to kitchen design, got certified in that. Eventually I wanted to do full interiors, so I started doing that. And then you start building on different things. I don't think there's a stop and a start to anywhere in your industry that you can go and where you can specialize. But I think it's good to see as much as you can, which is why coming to shows like Coverings and other respective trade shows that are within your industry, I think are really important, because you meet other people who are doing different things. And again, it's about connecting and inspiring one another.
Right, and in-person learning is really,
Yes.
I know we've all gotten really good at Zoom, right? Really good at Zoom. And I do a lot of my work that way, but it's nice to see you all in person. So yeah, it's great. Well, thank you, Elaine. So Elizabeth, we're going to you next. Okay. You told me about a career day that you participated in a few years ago, and how eager young people, many of them were young women, right, were to learn about tile. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
We live in the Vail Valley of Colorado, and it's kind of really small. The population is very small, and we hadn't hosted a career fair yet, and we were asked to come, and 650 kids came through, and Dan, as you can see in the photos, Dan was helping the young men cut tile, because they were just gravitating towards him because he's so dynamic and amazing. So, and they were getting excited, and we also had photos of our work and tile laid out on the table, and I had some young women, like 8th grade or so, come up and go, "What's this all about?" And I said, "Well, this is what we do." And they're like, "Well, can women be tile installers?" I'm like, absolutely. And it was just like, like, you know, that moment where you go, we can make it, like, we can, you know, influence them at this age to be a part of our industry. And it seemed like the high school kids and the women, or young women in high school, weren't as interested, but the 7th, 8th graders were like, "Can I cut tile too? Can I try this?" And it was very exciting. Unfortunately, we didn't have photos of the young women because I was talking to them and I couldn't photograph them at the same time. So I took these other photos. And so it was, and then it was just an exciting day because the teachers had all the kids look at all the websites of all the companies that they would be visiting at the career fair, and they were all coming up to us, and we just completed our website. I had updated everything, and they were like, "The kids are blown away by your site," and so were we. It was just very well informative how to apply to be an apprentice, and everything's on our site. And we had an information sheet to hand out of the benefits that we can offer our apprenticeship program and all these exciting things. And we have actually our first high school apprentice. He's graduating in May and starting in June with us, and so that's exciting that we can. This career fair was very, very successful.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
very, very cool. Very good. So I want to pivot a little bit into this new Women in Tile group. You've spearheaded it, and it's been supported by the NTCA. So what's the mission, and how is it different from other women's groups in the industry?
We are under the umbrella of the NTCA with the support of NTCA to bring. However, we're working on our outreach program to reach women. I literally just started this 3 months ago, so it takes some time to get an initiative off the ground, of course. And we want to bring young women out of high school, hopefully, and get them into training programs, or we want to eventually offer a scholarship to someone to go to a trade school who's interested in the field. But our biggest goal is bringing women into all parts of the tile industry, and we will have events at TSP and at coverings to continually build our base of women that want to support this initiative. And there's a lot. We're working on our webpage that's going to be a part of the NTCA website, Facebook page eventually, all the things that bring people together. So
Awesome.
we have a lot of work to do.
Yes, there is a lot of work to do. So I know that there are some other women's groups out there, right? Which is fabulous. But how is this one different than some of the other ones who are out there? I mean, how is it specialized? Is it?
Well, because we're going to focus just on the tile industry itself,
Okay.
where a lot of the other women's organizations are focusing on women in trades and construction, which is kind of a little broader.
Right.
But we would love to eventually, hopefully, partner up with anything that we can that will help support women and get them into the jobs and show what we can do.
That's kind of the synergy, right? That you were
The
talking
synergy
about,
again.
Elena, right? That would be great. I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 or, a couple out there, and it would be great if we could all kind of work together. And we definitely are reaching out to all women, but there's also an emphasis on tile installers, really, getting...
Correct. We want to do mentorships. We want to get education to them, just because there's a whole untapped labor pool out there.
Yeah.
We want to bring them, and women are, as you know, are very creative, artistic, and attention to detail, and can multitask like really well.
Great. So if women want to get hooked up with this group, how do they get in touch with you? How do they?
So after this session, I'm going to stay in the back for a half hour or so before the next session. And if people, I have a QR code you can scan in. We can collect your information, and then we'll get you on our mailing list and keep everyone apprised of all our events coming up.
Awesome. So if you're interested, then see Elizabeth afterwards. Okay. Thank you. All right, Alexis. So, speaking of mentors, we were talking about that before, right? You mentioned that Lillian Rothberg, who co-founded the family business of Laticrete, was a strong role model for you. How did she influence you? How did that work?
I did, because when I started at Laticrete, I obviously knew about Lillian. You know, she's very prominent on our website, and obviously we always talk about our founders. But until we started the internal women's group, the Women's Forum, I didn't realize how big of an impact she had on the start of the business, and she was really like a partner with Dr. Henry M. Rothberg. So I just really thought it was inspirational that back in, we were started in the 1950s, that this woman, she had the family, she had the business, like she really had it all, even before, that was a thing. So I don't know, it really inspired me because it just did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good start, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about the Laticrete Women's Forum and how it benefits women at Laticrete.
So we started it a couple years ago, and its main purpose is really to provide a space to encourage and promote kind of like the female perspective, because both construction and manufacturing, as we all know, are a little bit more male-dominated, right? It just is supposed to help bring us together. There's networking, there's professional development, we're still expanding, but it's just meant to bring women together.
Cool. And you've had some product knowledge classes, right?
Did,
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So in October, we had our first ever women's Profit Through Knowledge training at our headquarters in Connecticut. And we are doing another one this year, so if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. But it's for women to get together to do a training. We try to focus on needs that are more specific to women. The last one we did was really about lightweight stuff because it's easier to install. It's better for your body, health and safety type stuff. So I don't know what the theme for this year is, but I'm sure it'll be something in that realm.
Yeah, I bet men would appreciate the lightweight stuff too.
They do.
Right? Great. And is it specifically within Laticrete, or do you do any outreach in the community?
So it's mainly within Laticrete, but as we're here today, we're reaching out into the community because obviously women in construction, tile, whatever part of the industry you want to talk about, we're all connected. So
right.
It just is bringing, again, women together. So we start small, take baby steps to get it started, but now we're starting to get out into the community. So
Great. So you're on the executive leadership team of the house that she built.
I am.
Right?
Yes.
And that's kind of new, right? Is that just this year is the first year?
This year is the first year.
Which is awesome.
I think there's 15 of us on the executive leadership team.
Okay, awesome. Can you update us a little bit on what's going on with the movement? Because really, this book has grown into a movement, and
it has.
And so let us know what's going on and how.
Okay, so the real brief highlights. First, I just want to say that anyone and everyone can participate in this movement. It is the sole purpose of educating children. Obviously, it's geared a little bit more towards girls because it's got women in the book, but it's great for boys and girls. And it's starting that education young, so that's the first thing. So you can all be ambassadors if you want. Just go to thehousethatshebuilt.com and you can become an ambassador. But they've grown their partnership with the Girl Scouts. They have a whole program where you can get a patch, which is amazing. I don't think it's at every branch yet, but of course, with help from people in the industry, we can bring it to more locations. And there's also 2 new builds going on, How She Built Georgia and How She Built Iowa. So there are more builds coming. And the last thing I'll mention is that they are looking to kind of partner with more tradespeople. I think specifically because there are more of these builds and they're all over the country. So, but there's a lot going on.
Great. Wow. And so there's efforts that go into the schools and stuff too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is mainly individuals. We had one person who actually wrote to their school board and said, hey, here's a list of books, which included The House She Built, that is about the construction industry to help kids. and the school board had no idea about these books, and they brought them into the whole school system. So individuals can make requests like that for their own kids, for their school system, anything like that, and again, it will just bring the book to more kids and start really early, saying anyone can be in the trades.
Great.
So
when we were talking about this, you also mentioned that there's a bunch of books for young kids
There
about
are.
construction, right? Do you
Yep.
remember any of the names? I know this was not in the list of
no,
questions.
it's not. I don't. I have it saved on LinkedIn though, because there's a nice list. There's one about a project manager, I believe. There's one with a panda.
I think I know which one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's a whole list. I mean,
Construction Panda? You
yeah,
know, or something like
really.
that? Okay.
Every day there's more books that are coming out for kids about construction. So if you Google it, I'm sure you'll be able to find at least 5.
It sounds like a tile letter article.
It does.
What do you think? Want to read that? Okay. So that's great. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
giving.
Alexis also sits on my women
Oh,
in
yeah.
tile board.
Oh,
I knew
great.
that, yes.
By the way,
Oh, by the way, yes. Anything you want to say about women in tile from your perspective?
no, I'm just excited to join. Again, I didn't start this year thinking there'd be so many things going on, but I am really passionate about supporting women, and so I'm just excited.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. So, Kristen. Yes. You told me that NAWIC provides a community as well as many resources for women who want support, guidance, mentorship, or a way to give back to younger women. So how do women take advantage of these resources? I mean, how do you work with NAWIC? How do you
Yeah.
connect?
There's a lot to NAWIC. We have so many different committees, and we partner with NEF, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you get involved with NAWIC, become a member, obviously we're a national organization, but here locally at the Greater Orlando chapter, we do a lot of collaboration with ABC Central Florida, but just NAWIC itself offers obviously your ability to sit on a board of directors. That's a really great step out of your comfort zone. But if you're not quite ready to do that, join our mentorship program. It's every single year. That's how I got started. But also we have committees specifically for Block kids. I'll kind of delve into that in a little bit, as well as Construction Career Camp, which is coming up in June, the first week of June, and we partner with Seminole County Public Schools and provide a week-long camp for girls in high school to come and learn about just all of the different possibilities that there are within the construction industry. So we have a ton of different speakers come in, a ton of different companies that provide sponsorship. That can just be their time financially, or providing meals so that we can, feed these students when they're here. It's always important whenever you kind of walk into that first day and you see their very nervous eyes. They're just like, who do I talk to? Are my friends here? And then at the end of the week, they're like hugging on each other. They're a team with us. It's absolutely incredible. So that's just a couple that we offer. But another important one is WIC Week. That's actually a nationally known proclamated week that we provide. It's usually the first week in March, which we just passed that. So
Right.
we, all over the country, have different opportunities for women to get involved. We had a panel session this year, as well as job site tours, and then going back into local schools to speak and say, hey, this is who we are. This is the opportunity that you have. And it's not just one role. There are thousands of roles that you can be when you get out of high school. You don't have to follow one career path into college. You can follow something else.
Right. And going back to the camp you were
Yeah.
talking about, so is that local in Orlando or is that nationwide?
No, so it is nationwide. It's
Okay.
just dependent on if each chapter throughout the nation likes to put that on. It's something that is really important to us here in the Orlando chapter. It's been going on for about 25 years now.
Wow.
Here in
Wow.
our Orlando chapter.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Block Kids.
Yes.
Tell us about that a little bit.
So Block Kids is a building competition, a Lego building competition for students grades K through 6. This is one of my favorite events that we offer. It's just a one-day thing. We have a lot of fun, but most importantly, you see a ton of creativity that comes from those students. And it's not like they have a kit beforehand, because we provide the 100 pieces of Legos, a piece of string, a piece of foil, and a piece of rock, and they have 45 minutes right there on site to create a project that is related to the construction industry. So you see tons of cranes. That's one of the best ones, but very unique cranes. And then some students even branch out and create entire demolition yards with their excavators and their cranes and all of this. It's truly inspiring to see that level think so outside of the box.
Wow. Can you do that for us, maybe for Women in Tile?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like fun, right? I want to get my hands on some Legos.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. So, how do people get connected with NAWIC? Just your website, or?
Well, see me after this. I can get you involved. But yeah, our website, it's nawickorlando.org. Get your information out there. Put your email in, and you can start receiving information. Like I mentioned, we partner or collaborate with ABC on a lot, so we try to get as much information out there. Events coming up. I mean, it's really just a really great resource to find ways to get more involved.
Cool. And so, as the Orlando chapter president, what's your vision? What do you want to do with your term?
Yeah, so I actually just spoke about this the other day with somebody, and we all have a strategic plan that we follow each year, and usually we stick with a core of, retaining our membership and finding new membership and finding young membership. For me, though, it really goes back to the trades, because I value the trades so exponentially. I would not be successful without our trade partners. So it's really educating ourselves about the different opportunities to go into schools and speak, not just to high school students, but to those middle school students, to those elementary school students, that you can, kind of build aspirations into their young minds and say, hey, I don't have to be a cop, I don't have to be a vet, I don't have to do this. I can be in construction and I can be successful.
Right. Awesome. Because that is kind of a trade-wide issue, right?
It is.
I mean, it's go to college, and I went to college. College is great for folks. Yeah, but it's not the path for everybody.
Exactly.
And it's good to get some respect out there, I think, also for construction.
Yes.
For men and women. So that's great. It's great what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. So I am just, I have a list here of some of the sites and Facebook groups where you can turn for connection and guidance and encouragement and opportunity. And I didn't really want to kill any trees, okay? So take a picture, as some folks are already doing. Or if you don't want to take a picture, you could give me your card or email me or whatever, and I'll send you the list. So, I think we're actually a little ahead of time. So is there, which is amazing to me, I can't believe it, but so is there anything, what is the one thing that you love the most about what you do?
That's a tough one.
Elena, do you want to start?
You stumped everyone.
Creating something that everyone then appreciates and will be around forever if you do it right the first time.
Yeah. Something beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's it. That really is, right? 'Cause that's what we're all, working towards. We all contributed to the process in a different way.
Yeah. Something you really can be proud of, right? Look at that and go, I did that.
Yeah. Especially when you win an award for your work.
Yes.
It's powerful to drive by buildings that I've built that I see functions for, healthcare, for schools. So that is really incredibly powerful.
Yeah, you're making a difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're really, in a concrete way, making a difference, which is awesome.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, cool. Well, then, I'm wondering if maybe there are some questions from our audience. Cody, is that you?
Yes, ma'am. So beyond reading the How She Built This House book to my 4-year-old daughter, which she loves, by the way, how can those of us in the tile industry help this movement and help everything you guys are establishing and doing?
So the question was that you've read the How She Built book to your daughter, right? And you, what's that?
Small scale, yes.
Small scale. And you want to know what the industry can do to support women. Okay.
Is that just for me or?
All of you.
Anybody?
I mean, I'll start with the house she built.
That's
I think to further what you're saying is we should get the books into more schools. I mean, obviously it's great that you've got this book for your daughter, right? But there's so many girls out there that don't have the book yet, or even boys, right? Because you can use it for boys too. So that's one step. And then I would just say maybe seeing what other initiatives they're doing, like the Girl Scout patches. I don't know how old your daughter is, but maybe eventually she's 4. She might be in the Girl Scouts, right? So you might be able to bring that to the Girl Scouts. And again, you're just bringing this movement to more girls with each of these steps. That's really the whole goal. So.
Sounds like Block Kids might be something to get involved with too, right?
Yes, Block Kids is a ton of fun too. Go ahead.
Do you take her to the job site?
Not yet.
Okay, eventually
She
though.
likes to pick up the nails and things.
She's 4, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Do you have any
Yeah. Anybody else?
comments on that? Or?
I would say helping the movement is, well, as contractors, we have a lot of routes, a lot of avenues for training. Whether you're participating, I mean, just getting involved in the industry has been so impactful for me, and I'll be furthering my involvement probably my entire career. But I think just mentoring other women, helping train in workshops, and even manufacturer meetings at distributors, be there in attendance and helping answer questions. And I know, Cody, you work with your dad, and I'm sure that you guys, well, hopefully have come across some women applicants or will in the future and take them seriously and look at
Hire
them.
women, right?
Yeah,
Hire
hire
women,
women, going
yeah.
back to that.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Yes. This is the first year that we attend coverings, and it's just massive scale. This is so impressive. However much you have done, you've done a terrific job. I wanted to ask questions. As we walk through the aisles, there's so much offerings of tiles from different parts of the world. I want to know if you have been involved with high-rise developers, if they have specific challenges faced by high-rise developers with tile vendors, tile quality, tile installations, tile-specific challenges or pain points you can share with us.
I'm going to come down and ask you to repeat that into my microphone because I don't think I can.
You didn't hear my voice?
I could hear your voice, but I don't think I can repeat it quite the way that you did. So,
In summary, what the question is, have you seen or can you share specific challenges faced by high-rise developers with tile vendors, tile quality, tile installation, tile-specific challenges, pain points that are faced by developers?
thank you.
I have more questions, but this is one of them.
Okay. We'll start with that one.
Well, I work residential, so I don't have a lot of
I do as well.
Residential.
I think as the only probably commercial general contractor, construction manager, we don't do a ton of high-rise development on that aspect, but I will kind of speak from what I do, and there's such a shortage right now. It's not just a labor shortage, but it's a material shortage. It's finding quality material in a timely manner, and it's beating those expectations that owners have at this moment, right? Everybody wants their building built in the quickest time, and it's almost unrealistic. So it's finding products or being able to promote products locally here or find those or mass produce or mass ship over from other countries that would be beneficial. And then it's finding the laborers, the craftsmen that have the ability to install that within that deadline, that were provided by these owners or developers. So it's really kind of a full circle. There's a lot of different aspects to it that need help. And that's where, sitting up here, we like to have a call to action and say, hey, like, if you are wanting to reach out or you know somebody or you know a woman, get them involved, please.
Amber?
Anybody else?
Oh,
I have some other questions, but
let me come back to you in a minute, sir, so we can spread the wealth here.
So my question, it's kind of a question comment, and it comes off of what Cody had to say, and a little bit about what you guys were talking about with the NAWIC program, and how as an industry can we get more involved. And you did mention the NAWIC and then the camp, and one thing I would say is down in San Diego, our family business is getting involved in a similar program, and that's in our local area. And so the contractor is getting in touch, and then we're putting together a specific program to work with these women in the camp, or the young ladies in the camp, to put together a mosaic. And I would say, try and reach out to NAWIC in your local market, and what they need are hands. They need
Yeah.
hands to show up and teach and to show. And if you're not an installer and you're a supplier, a lot of times they're very willing to help support with either the tiles or the materials needed. And I guess it just is start that conversation and kind of ask what is the need, and then go out to the community to try and find that team. Because I think that there's a lot of us that are very willing and want to do it. We just don't always know what those steps are. And I think having that touch point of NAWIC, especially with the camp, I think that's a very hands-on thing that you can, that's already being done, that you can maybe add the tile portion in.
Is absolutely.
Because I think they're having really good success with the woodworking and some different areas, and maybe see how we can get our industry of tile and stone put in, added into that program.
Great. So I just want to summarize for the video. So you're just saying to reach out to NAWIC, no matter what aspect of the industry you're in, right? And just get involved with that, see what's needed, and then bring it out into the community, correct?
Yeah, show up,
Okay. Yep, great. Did you want to address that at all, or?
I think she did a great job.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see another hand, yes.
Also back to Cody, that was a really good question. I'm reading the house that she built in New Braunfels. You're in my neck of the woods, so come with me, or even just share the post about it on a local level. I think visibility is a really key piece here, and that's something that everybody can do when you see a woman in tile doing a great job on social media, like, share, help push that visibility further. You know what I mean? And that's something that everyone can do.
So increase the visibility, right? Okay. I have time for one more question. Anybody else? Anybody?
I have a question. So, we're talking about our profession. We all wear many hats, all of us. We have so much pressure to be good employees, good mothers. What is something that each of you do, either in your field or personally, to create a work-life balance?
Oh, work-life
That's a great
balance.
question.
Good question. Okay, have at it. Thank you for asking that. Very real.
Work-life balance, what is that?
what is
Still figuring it out.
I think I would speak for all of us that we are all still trying to figure it out because it is very hard. There's only 24 hours in one day, and you have to sleep at some point. But for me, I try to disconnect, leave my phone somewhere that I don't have to pick it up at night and check emails, but also pick up a book every once in a while and spend time with my friends, most importantly, and my fiance, that we're outside. Just leave work at work and enjoy.
have something to build on
Yeah.
that. That's all
Yeah.
what we should all do.
Great.
Another thing that sometimes too, I don't know if it's really about balance, but it's sort of about resetting. A lot of the times we are working on projects and they're long projects and there's a lot of stress from, all angles. I'm very passionate about taking a little time once a year and doing a charitable project through my skill set. So, connecting to somewhere in your community by doing something charitable that maybe just takes a few days of time. There's so many organizations, initiatives. I personally do a lot of work with Make-A-Wish, and I'll do like room makeover type stuff. And that gives me a whole new kind of passion for what I'm doing aside from the day-to-day stress, something you could focus on quickly, also still giving yourself time for yourself. But I like to kind of add that in once a year. It's something that kind of helps balance it all out in a way
agree.
too.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Great idea.
That's a good one.
Gonna have to steal
I
that.
do it whenever I get and it's really fun.
Anybody else have?
I've had to learn how to do meditation because that's the only way to clear your mind and be able to have the strength to keep on going. So I do carve out some time every day to meditate.
Awesome. So on that point, Jana Valafuco is offering an Intro to Mindfulness class today at 2 p.m. in the Coverings Lounge. So if you'd like to learn some meditation and some mindfulness, go on over there and check that out.
Awesome. Nice.
Great segue. Any other tips for work-life balance?
No.
Or not? I walk and I journal. So those are two things that I do, and those things really do seem to help. Okay, Katja, last question.
Yeah, I think it's important to know the history of tile and women in tile. Longworth Nichols, who started Rookwood Pottery, Mary Chase Perry, who started Coavic Pottery. I think knowing our history is what gives us perspective and helps us have the tools to move forward when things get difficult.
Great. So you're saying to know the women who have built the foundation, right, of the industry and go from there.
Early 1900s.
Yeah, okay. Great. So I want to thank everybody for their questions, and if you still have some more, you can come up afterwards. But we are getting to the end of our time together, and I want to thank all our panelists, and yes, let's give them a round of applause. So, I want to thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate you all. And I want to leave you with this inspiration. Gillian Anderson, who played the character of Scully in the TV show The X-Files. Who remembers The X-Files? Anybody? Oh, I do. Oh, look. Great. So she said that the show received an onslaught of letters from women saying her character inspired them to pursue careers in medicine, art, and the FBI. So never underestimate the influence that you have on others. Thank you for coming to the session. Have a great covering.